So this is something that we're going to see more and more of in the second Trump administration. We've been seeing it now since 2016, and it's only gotten worse since then, which is that there are a lot of people who are pushing MAGA just to get a name for themselves. It is such an easy grift. Like, keep in mind that a significant number of the so-called Republican celebrities right now are former Democrats, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Donald Trump, people with no political credentials, Vivek Ramaswamy. There are a lot of people who are celebrities only because of like one social media incident that blew up. What's the name of that one shitty female athlete who lost to a trans woman that one time? What's her name again? Elon? Yeah, Elon, that female athlete who lost to Riley Gaines. That's right. Imagine making a career out of failure. I mean, that's half of them. And also basically every DNC staffer. Well, anyway, you're not going to believe this. Oklahoma's top educator requires schools to play video of him praying for Trump. Oklahoma's like, I think, the worst state in the nation for education. I think it's 49th. Like it's behind Mississippi or something. I don't know exactly. He has been pushing for the Bible to be incorporated into lesson plans. He wants every single school to play a video. I mean, here.
As part of his planned overhaul of the federal government, President-elect Trump has repeatedly vowed to abolish the Department of Education.
Which will lead to more of this.
That call has been echoed by Oklahoma's top educator, State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Ryan Walters. He is calling for Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to close the department on, quote, day one. And in the wake of Trump's win, he announced the creation of a new Department of Religious Freedom and Patriotism in the state. Here's some of that.
Religious freedom, in this case, meaning Christian supremacy, obviously.
Announcement.
For too long in this country, we've seen the radical left attack individuals' religious liberty in our schools. We've also seen patriotism mocked and a hatred for this country pushed by woke teachers' unions. We will not tolerate that in any school in Oklahoma.
Walters is requiring that all public schools in the state show students that video, which includes him leading a prayer for President-elect Trump. It's a mandate that several districts have already said they are disregarding.
Yup.
And that pushback comes as Walters is already facing 2 lawsuits stemming from.
Yup. It should be noted, by the way, he has absolutely no legal authority to do this. There is no mechanism by which the superintendent of a school system at the state can force every school to play a video. There's no mechanism for that at all. Leaving aside the constitutional problems with forcing every student to engage with Christian religiosity in school, which is, of course, anti-constitutional. Not that it would really matter under this Supreme Court, but the Attorney General of Oklahoma has already said that he has no legal authority to do this, and a lot of schools are already ignoring it.
His earlier mandate that schools incorporate the Bible into lesson plans in grades 5 through 12.
The Trump Bible?
Last week, he also announced the purchase of 500 Bibles, which appear to be the Trump-endorsed God Bless the USA version for use in classrooms across the state. Ryan Walters is joining us now. I really appreciate you coming on to have this important discussion. As you know, your state.
So obviously this guy is a lunatic, but I think this is one of the more obvious cases of somebody trying to make a name for themselves via celebritydom. Like, he's trying to use his position here as the Oklahoma superintendent, both to further worsen the education of his students because less educated people are more likely to vote Republican, and also to like springboard off of the grifting to get a position in national government. It would not surprise me if this guy in the future becomes a Fox News, not guest speaker, a Fox News pundit, or a, one of the like louder grifters online, talking about how he tried to shut down anti-Americanism and promote freedom of religion in schools and the left stopped him or whatever.
State's Attorney General's office says you don't have the authority for this mandate to play that prayer video. So what authority do you have to mandate schools to show your prayer video where you also pray for President-elect Trump?
Look, I've continued to hear the gaslighting from the left, and frankly, even from this network, pushing lies about what's going on across America. President Trump.
See, right here, this is not how a person speaks if they're actually trying to implement a policy shift in their own jurisdiction. This isn't how a person talks if they're actually trying to do something for the students of Oklahoma. He's not going to talk about the kids, really. He's not going to talk about their education. This is purely just a partisan political move. He's trying to get seen. Exactly.
Trump has a clear mandate. He wants prayer back in school. He wants radical leftism out of the classroom, wants our kids to be patriotic, want parents back in charge with school choice. We are enacting upon that agenda here in Oklahoma. That's what our parents want. Every county in Oklahoma voted for President Trump. His agenda is crystal clear, and we're going to enact it in the state of Oklahoma.
I'm not going to take the bait on what you said about gaslighting from this network on this. I'm asking you a specific question. Where is your authority specifically coming from? As you know, thousands of people, including parents who signed a petition to impeach you with more than 14,000 signatures at last check, say this is government overreach and you're taking control away from local parents, local school boards and parents over their kids. What do you say to that? And where is your authority coming from to enforce this prayer video to be played in schools?
You want to bet he's not going to answer the question?
You know, I appreciate you pushing that left-wing narrative here, but here's the reality.
It's not a left-wing narrative. I'm literally talking about a petition that parents have signed that's gotten more than 14,000 signatures that have raised this issue.
It's pretty clear on religious liberty. The Constitution's crystal clear on religious liberty. I know the left doesn't want our kids to know anything about the role the Bible played in American history. They don't want any of our kids to know about the Constitution. Our religious liberties are protected, and the left has driven the Bible out of schools, driven prayer out of schools, and everything.
The Supreme Court did that, actually. I think the Constitution of the United States of America did that, actually.
And education's gotten worse since. Before we had a federal Department of Education and we had the Bible and prayer in school, guess what? We were leading the free world. This was the greatest country in the world, and we have seen every statistic has gotten worse.
Especially in Oklahoma. Oklahoma educational ranking. 49th in the nation for education. Whew, yep, 49th. If only more of our country could be like Oklahoma. Actually, the worst state in the nation for educational outcomes is New Mexico. That's gotta be because of reservations, right? Gotta be. Which means, wouldn't that make Oklahoma like the real 50th? Because the reservations are like a specially zone as designated by the federal government. Oklahoma, like you had a free shot there, you know? Nah, it's because of the meth in New Mexico. They've got meth in Oklahoma, I bet. I bet you they've got meth too. Oklahoma also has a ton of reservations. Do they? Okay. I don't know that much about them. Most of the reservations I know about are in the American Southwest. All right. Well, child wellness lists Oklahoma 49th in education, 35th in school safety, though. So doing a little bit better in school safety. That's nice.
Since the creation of the Federal Department of Education and the Supreme Court pulled the Bible and prayer out of schools, President Trump has won on this issue. He has a crystal clear mandate. It's what Americans want. It's what Oklahomans want. And so we're going to deliver on those.
By the way, I want you to really internalize this message right here. Trump won on this mandate because you're going to be hearing it nonstop. Republicans are going to push insane, illegal, destructive shit that benefits nobody, and they're going to do it by saying, because the people voted for Donald Trump, they have implicitly given a mandate for everything he wants. Now, would that logic fly with Joe Biden winning in 2020? Does that, like, because Joe Biden won, that means that every single policy we can say he wants, therefore is kosher? No. For one, that's not how democracy works. The idea that if you get a slim win in the presidential, every single policy that he supports automatically has, like, the mandate of heaven. Secondly, Trump hasn't said that he wants this. Kind of a local jurisdictional ruling thing, and in this case, a constitutional thing.
On President Trump's promises here in Oklahoma.
All right. First of all, the Constitution is not crystal clear on that. It doesn't have God in it. There is this establishment clause in the First Amendment, which the Supreme Court has routinely said it requires the separation of church and state and public schools.
Unfortunately, she's taken the bait here. He never answered where he gets the authority from, but now she's taken to disputing him on the constitutional validity of his position.
There are many cases hold on, I'm speaking. There are many cases where the Supreme Court has routinely ruled on that. You went after woke teachers and the radical left in your announcement for attacking religious liberty, but your critics are saying that by requiring Bibles in every classroom and requiring this prayer video, you're trying to impose your religion on students in violation of the Establishment Clause. They say the Constitution, scholars say the Constitution is crystal clear on freedom of religion, not enforcing one religion, your religion, on students. What do you say?
He looks a little bit like Mr. Beast, doesn't he? With the empty eyes when he smiles. He does the thing where he smiles with his mouth, but his eyes stay empty.
Look, CNN doesn't have to like it. Left-wing activists don't have to like it.
I'm just talking about facts.
He'll
It's
never
not my
answer these
opinion.
questions. It's a
The Bible is a
NPC
historical document. You
dialogue
can't
tree.
rewrite history, okay? The reality is the Bible was what
He
drove
does
so
look
much
a bit
of
like
so many of
Asmongold.
the consequential events in American history. Why did the Pilgrims come to America? Why in the world did Abraham Lincoln mention God and God's providence in so many of his speeches? How do you explain Martin Luther King
Why is
Jr.'s
Trump
letter
on
from a
screen-
Birmingham
on
jail
screen?
where he goes through biblical examples if the left continues to censor the Bible from our history classes? Listen, the left doesn't have to like it. They can be offended by it, but we've got to teach history to our young people to make this country great again. President Trump has a clear mandate.
The remarkable thing, the remarkable thing to me about this like new wave, there used to be people who pushed very aggressively for more religiosity in schools. I remember growing up where there would be like Christian evangelicals who would push really aggressively. The difference is those people actually believed in God. This guy doesn't. Guarantee you, dead to rights, this guy doesn't believe in God. Not saying he's an atheist, just saying he doesn't care. Certainly not a Christian. Now, it used to be the people pushing for the Bible to be back in school, they were religious. They were lunatics, but they were religious. Now it's being done as an empty culture war virtue signal to front, like, you know, essentially white supremacy. Like there's no like actual authentic faith driving this.
Our kids have to understand what made America great in the first place. And obviously the Bible, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence are indispensable in understanding the story of America.
I'm not saying that the Bible isn't an important part of understanding this. What I'm saying is your critics, including a lot of parents, are saying you're trying to enforce your religion, your specific religion, Christianity, onto students, not just by requiring Bibles in every classroom, but also by requiring this prayer video as well, where you also pray for Donald Trump. Just last week, this federal judge ruled it's unconstitutional for the Ten Commandments to be shown in a classroom. How is what you're
Oh, also rhetorically, as moving forward, I think it would be more effective if she called him a disgusting freak who wants to make little kids watch him. You know, like he knows he's lying. Everyone knows that he's lying. There's no pretense of sincerity here. He is like the shit he is advocating for is clearly insane. And the idea that it needs to be engaged with like authentically on its own grounds is ridiculous. Even like there's no, it's a deliberately irrational argument. There's no point in pretending that it's sincere, you know? Yeah, I think you should call him a freak and just generally bully him out, you know?
trying to do different?
Well, it's a radical federal judge way out of step with the American people and the Constitution. Here's the reality. We have the right to express our religious beliefs. We absolutely do. That doesn't stop at a schoolhouse. I was crystal clear in there. We're not telling kids they have to pray, but we are telling kids they have the right to pray if they so choose. That is what the free expression of your religious beliefs means. And the left has driven that out of schools because of their hatred for Christianity and people of faith. President Trump has been clear.
I don't think that's fair to say that they hate people of Christianity.
You are allowed to pray in school, by the way. That's always been the case. Now he's making an argument for something that has been the case for the entire history of the United States.
Or people of faith, the critics who are and I'm specifically talking about those who have signed this impeachment form for you, those school districts who aren't showing this. Their concern is that it's coercive and that, you know, look, you're talking about how important the Bible is in U.S. history and the founding of the country, but this was a country that was not founded on a specific religion, and that if you are really, if it's important to talk about religious texts and how it weaves into the history of the U.S., then why not also include
yeah, again, he's smug because he doesn't believe any of this and he's just looking for like airtime. We're going to see more and more of this as time goes on. People like essentially activist politicians who are, you know, stirring shit up exclusively to get attention from the national press, which he has succeeded in doing with an audacious and completely illegal and illegitimate claim. Again, keep in mind, his claim here, his request, is literally he demands every student should watch a video of him praying for Trump. That's what they're currently arguing over. So now he has successfully baited her into arguing like the specific legality of praying in schools, when the original claim is that this guy wants tens of thousands of children to be forced to watch a video of him praying for Trump. So again, the engagement with this as though it's sincere is Rather than bringing him on, they should have brought on one of the parents leading the change.org petition to get him removed, or the people leading the lawsuits against him. Like, just bringing him on so he can get exactly what he wants, which is this.
The Quran. Why not also include the Book of Mormon? Why not also include these other religious texts?
Well, let's talk about this for a second. Everyone who signed that list, everybody suing me, they're the same people that want gender, queer, and flamer in the classroom under the guise
That's not necessarily true.
See, again, sincere engagement with this is a waste of time. He's a fascist and he's saying whatever he wants. Also, he's talking about, like, parents of the students under his jurisdiction, you know? Pretty insane thing to say.
You are painting everyone with a broad brush.
I know the litigants in the case. The ACLU sued me on both. Southern Poverty Law Center. The reality is these people want radical gender pornography in the classroom, but they don't want the Bible.
But they would say the Bible has pornography and incest and rape. So what do you say to that?
You think the Bible's on the same plane as gender?
I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying.
I mean, that's laughable. The Bible's the most read book.
Actually, she should really continue with that line of argumentation. I think that's a good one. There is a lot of weird shit in the Bible. You could run with that. Got to call him a pedophile.
In American history, and the left doesn't want our kids to know anything about it. They don't want the kids to understand that it played a huge role in American history. That is academic malpractice. We have to get back to teaching American exceptionalism, American values, where those things came from. That's just history, and the left doesn't have to.
You're not answering my question about these other religious texts. If that is your reason, if you were like, I want our students to learn about the founding of this country, and the Bible played a big role in that, then why not include other religious texts that also throughout history played a role, such as I pointed out, the Book of Mormon, such as, the Quran.
Sure, look, in a world history class, you can absolutely talk about those, but let's be clear, in American history, the Bible played a unique role in shaping this history. And you said,
again, just to point out, the original claim here is he wanted all of the students in Oklahoma to watch a video of him praying for Trump. None of this is about whether or not the Bible is a legitimate historical document. It is, obviously. None of this is about whether the Bible can be taught in schools. You are taught about the Bible in school in the sense that it is referred to. It's not as though Christianity isn't brought up in history classes. Obviously it is. Like, the Bible is, a component of that. Yeah, none of this is authentic.
Said no religion. Thomas Jefferson said our rights came from God. And again, look, maybe we all need to go back and study some of this, especially on CNN, to understand
Thomas Jefferson rejected part of Christian doctrine. Thomas Jefferson promoted freedom of religion. One of his top 3 accomplishments on his gravestone is promoting a law in Virginia for the freedom of religion. So if you want, and then
a good retort. You have knowledge. That's good. But keep in mind that to a person like this and the people who support him, freedom of religion means you can do whatever you want if you're Christian.
John Adams, would you say that John Adams is a key founder of the United States? Do you think he is? Okay.
Absolutely. Talked about
John Adams signed a treaty in 1797 saying the government of the United States of America is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion. So, look, I'm not. Listen.
We've got to get you in an Oklahoma history class, because the next line is.
Well, then let's talk.
Yeah, right. Man, we gotta. You've learned too many things about history. We gotta subject you to our 49th out of 50 education. Literally, we need to make you stupider because you know too much shit.
Talk about Oklahoma history, because Oklahoma is 48th in the country when it comes to education.
49th.
It's ranked 48th in the country. Your critics say the money that you're spending on the Bible, I'm putting Bibles in every classroom.
How the fuck is Arizona
for $6 million.
Different
should be
metrics.
spent in other ways to better educate the students, because they're very worried about where Oklahoma is ranked in the education system. What do you say to that?
We are in the middle of a turnaround here because we are following President Trump's agenda. This is the agenda for the entire country. We have school choice. We have merit pay. We are rejecting this left-wing ideology in the classroom. We are promoting American exceptionalism. And look, we are pressing students forward to see academic outcomes improve. We've seen record improvement. Record numbers of schools are improving here in Oklahoma. That's what you're going to see for the whole country under President Trump. And again, you continue to see critics, they act like I'm controversial because I'm creating change in a status quo system that has failed kids kids and failed parents for decades. President Trump is
That's true. Oklahoma education has been failing students for decades. I mean, CNN is largely responsible for this, I think, for having him on rather than having like the Oklahoma AG who told him that he can't do this, or any one of the people leading the lawsuits. Also framing this as education controversy. You know, if CNN's position on this, as expressed by their anchor here, is that this guy's a loony, then framing it as a controversy rather than lunatic Oklahoma superintendent tries to remove freedom of religion in schools. I mean, obviously, this isn't new. CNN contributes to the right wing's power by framing issues in a fake moderate way. Yeah, I know. I wasn't born yesterday. No, Nuts, this is a lot better than it could have been. Overall, I think she's done a nice job. Just, you know, it's a framing thing.
Okay, well then, if you're turning it around, the millions of dollars should be spent on other ways to educate the children. But let me just ask you one last question. As I pointed out in this segment, the books you bought from what you raised in your Twitter handle, I just saw a link to that, was the Trump-endorsed Bible. That's $60 a pop. There are many Bibles available that are less than half of that. Why are you using the Trump-endorsed Bible? What do you say to critics who argue this is clear-cut political pandering right here?
What I would tell critics is we're going to teach American history in Oklahoma. So that includes the Bible,
This is what I mean about messaging. Not what do you say to critics who say X. You should just tell him this is a pathetic attempt to curry favor with Trump, and you clearly don't give a shit about your students. Like you can't, this like soft pitching the ball, ridiculous.
Declaration of Independence, the Constitution and Bill of Rights. They are all included in this Bible that we've purchased. The Bible will be back in every Oklahoma classroom. President Trump is bringing...
Why the Trump Bible, though? Why not a cheaper Bible where you could save a lot of money in taxpayer dollars?
I just told you. All of those documents are in this Bible that we purchased for our kids so that they could understand the full context of the founding documents.
Trump started trumping.
That was a very abrupt cut right there to the next video. My God, very abrupt.
That we're going to be making in this budget, and it will be a request for $3 million to provide Bibles to the Oklahoma classrooms. We have talked about ensuring that our history courses include the role the Bible played throughout American history. We've talked about the efforts of left-wing groups and the teachers' unions to drive the Bible out of school.
You can hear them laughing. Yeah, that might be reporters laughing. It could be people who agree with him laughing at the audaciousness of the statement. Who knows? School choice is benefiting white-only private schools founded during segregation. Well, yeah, school choice has always been about like reinforcing racial and class-based educational segregation. That's always been the goal of the policy. If Republicans support a policy, it is because it makes the world more unequal. There are no policies Republicans support definitionally that make the world better for people. It always improves the life of a certain group of people at the expense of others. This is the same guy who is one of the two assholes who, after Nex Benedict was murdered, called queer people filth, him and Tom Woods. Well, at least he's been consistent. They're literally the make everything worse party in literally every single quantifiable way. Well, that's how we win, folks. Since they like making the world worse for everyone, you know, it just gives us more ammunition to attack them with. I mean, it basically guarantees that life is going to get worse for everyone under their regime. It's really just a matter of like, what do you do with that information and how do you direct people?